Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma anfa'na bima 'allamtana wa 'allimna ma yanfa'una wa zidna ilman bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala sayyidina Muhammad al-Fatih lima ughliq wal khatim lima sabaq nasril haqq bil haqq والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله وصحبه حق قدره ومقداره العظيم. Alhamdulillah, we thanks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity to be here again tonight. So inshallah, we continue with our third lesson or third class. Before that, as I always mention, I'm not a sheikh or a guru or whatever. I'm just a student. The purpose of this class is basically to share what I've learned from my teachers, and I hope there are things that perhaps I may not be able to answer your questions, and I hope you bear with me, inshallah. There are two types of majlis or sessions. One is called ta'aleem. Ta'aleem is a majlis, is a session that where participants are taught of things that they don't know yet. It's called ta'aleem. Another one is tazkir. Tazkir is basically, you know already. It's just to remind you, to reinforce what you have known. So I consider this is a kind of a tazkir session. It's not basically ta'aleem, because perhaps you may not find anything new, little information that perhaps new. So basically we try to remind ourselves of this knowledge. This is in line with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, فَذَكِّرْ إِنَّ الذِّكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Remind each other. That is very beneficial for the mu'min. This is what we're going to talk today on advice and knowledge into action. This is the original text by Imam Ghazali. I copied from Darul Minhaj. Giving advice and accepting it. النصيحة سهل ومشكل قبولها أو النصيحة سهلة ومشكلة قبولها لأنها في مذاق مبتدئ الحوى مر إذا المناهي محبوبة في قلوبهم على الخصوص من كان طالب العلم رسمي مشتغل فضل النفس ومناقب الدنيا فإنه يحسب أن العلم مجرد له وسيلة سيكون نجاته وخلاصه به وأنه مستغن عن العمل وهذا اعتقاد الفلاسفة. So basically this is the translation of it. On the book is page 6, I think, yeah. This is where we are in now, page 6. So perhaps our brother maybe can read for us. Your pronunciation might be better than my English. My English is Malay English, Kelantan English.
So you want me to read page 6?
Yes, please. I'm sorry, if you don't mind.
Giving advice, accepting it. Oh, my beloved disciple, giving advice is easy. What is difficult is accepting it, for it is bitter in taste to those who pursue vain pleasures, since forbidden things are dear to their hearts. This is particularly so for whoever is the student of conventional knowledge, who is occupied with gratifying his ego and with worldly exploits, for he supposes that his knowledge alone will be his salvation, that his deliverance is in it, and that he can do without deeds. That is the conviction of the philosophers. Glory be to Allah.
Yes, this is the we can consider it second advice or third advice. It depends, because Al-Ghazali never mentioned advice number 1, number 2, as we discussed earlier. This is basically a letter from Al-Ghazali to his disciple. So accepting advice is difficult. Why? Because Al-Ghazali said our soul is attracted to forbidden things. This is in line with the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet said, "Huffat al-jannatu bil makarih wa huffat an-naru bil shahwah." This is in Sahih Muslim. If you look at Sahih Muslim, you'll find this hadith. Paradise is surrounded with things that the soul dislikes. Hell is surrounded by things that the soul desires. So, because of that, sometimes it's very difficult for us to accept advice. Imam Ghazali says, it's easy to give advice because the student asks for his advice. Please give me advice. Imam Ghazali said, yeah, I can give you advice, but whether you can accept it or not is another thing. Because the soul is very difficult to accept good advice because it's against the lust, the desires. Because the desires always want something that have pleasures, whereas sometimes the nasihah, the advice, is against it. Another thing is why difficult is because our soul is dirty. I think we've discussed briefly last classes that there are degrees of the soul, and inshallah, if we have time, we can go and see the degrees of the soul. There are souls that are completely dirty, there are souls that perhaps partially dirty, and so on. There's degrees which we call it, like for example, nafsu ammara bisu, nafsu lawama, nafsu mutma'inna, nafsu, all degrees that the scholars have classified. Inshallah, we have time, we go this. So basically, because our ego, that we tend not to accept advice, because we have the ego. Why ego? Because the soul is dirty. So I'm going quite fast on this because I think it's very easy for you. And then another thing that we are advised to look at when we talk about advice is that the Prophet tells us a believer mir'atul mu'min, al-mu'min mir'atul mu'min. In another narration, al-muslim mir'atul muslim. A believer is a mirror to another believer, meaning that if someone advises you on something, then you have to look at it as you are looking at your mirror. If you look at a mirror, you will realize that perhaps on your face there's dot or whatever, so you will try to clean it, you will try to correct it. Similarly, when someone advises you, then you must look at that way. You don't look at in a way that the person's trying to criticize you, the person's trying to humiliate you. So this is what the Prophet asks us to do whenever we receive advice. Whenever we receive advice, the first thing that we have to remember is that our brother is doing it with good intention, not to humiliate us, not to criticize us. So another thing that we should know, I think everyone knows this, is basically a reminder or revision. Methods in giving advice are very important. I think you know this, to correct, not to humiliate, to do it privately, not in public, and do it with wisely. I remember perhaps you know the story of how the Hassan and Hussein trying to correct someone who make wudu wrongly, for example. That's a very famous story, and I don't have to repeat on that. And then we go to the next one. This is the part that very important that I want to focus tonight, because nasihah is quite easy, but when we talk about knowledge, this is the most crucial part of our discussion tonight, because knowledge is very important, and to put knowledge into practice is another issue. Allah SWT has not ordered us to ask for increase in anything except in knowledge. You won't find in the verse of the Quran or in the prophetic hadith, "Oh Allah, please increase me in wealth." You won't find it. But you will find in the hadith, in the Quran, Allah said, Allahumma Rabbi zidni ilman. Oh Allah, please increase in me knowledge. You won't find it. Why? Because knowledge is so important. Some scholars say, why can't Allah say, oh Allah, please increase in me in tawakkul, for example. No, you don't find it. Oh Allah, please increase in me in tawakkul. Or please increase in me in other things. But you find, Rabbi zidni ilman. Oh Allah, please increase in me knowledge. So this shows that how knowledge is very, very important. And we know for sure that seeking knowledge is compulsory. And we have discussed this last classes, previous classes, 2 classes. We know the prophetic hadith, talab al-ilmi faridatun ala kulli muslim. Seeking knowledge is compulsory on every Muslim. And then the scholars divide this. I think, did I explain to you previously what kind of knowledge? Fine, we go this after this, inshallah. Okay, so knowledge, when we talk about seeking knowledge, I think last class I mentioned already. When the Prophet says talabul ilmi faridatun ala kulli muslim, seeking knowledge is compulsory on every Muslim. What are knowledge that compulsory for us to seek? Do you know what knowledge is compulsory for us to seek? Do you know? Yes, that's called fardu ain. Very good. So the knowledge that compulsory for us to seek is fardu ain knowledge. Fardu ain. How to spell it? Okay, fardu ain. This fardu ain is compulsory to everyone, a Muslim to seek, and at least 3 branches or at least 3 disciplines of knowledge. One is called aqidah. You remember we talked about this Islam, Iman and Ihsan? I think I explained this already. Okay.
What is the literal meaning of that
fardu ain is eye. So on every eye, your eye, her eyes, fardu is obligation.
And there are 2 types of knowledge.
Yes, knowledge have 2 types. I think we discussed this last time. I'm not sure if I missed this one. Fardu ain and fardu kifayah. Fine. That's how do you spell the ain like that, or you spell it with. This is fardu ain is individual. This is community. Okay, this is communal. So fardu ain, based on the prophetic hadith of Jibril that we mentioned last time, ma huwa al-Islam? Al-Islam, an tashhada illa ilaha illallah, and so on. That you say shahada, you perform prayers, you perform fasting. That is Islam. We call it pillars of Islam. And then you have ma huwa al-iman. Iman, an tu'mina billah. You believe in Allah and Rasul and so on. And then you have ma huwa ihsan. So these 3 knowledge, these 3 branches of Islam constitute of these 3 components, the main component of Islam as a religion. But this is pillars of Islam. We call it pillars of Islam. This is pillars of Iman. Okay? I believe you remember this, right? Shahada, Salat, prayers, fast, Zakat, and Hajj. Okay? And Iman also, believe in Allah, all the belief thing here. Okay? 5, 6. Yeah. And this ihsan. Ihsan is an ta'budallah ka'annaka tara fa illam takun tara fa innahu yaraka. You worship Allah as if you see Him. If you don't see him, believe that Allah sees you. So basically, because of this, as times went by, Muslims community evolved, developed. They turn out to be a discipline of knowledge, become very systematic, and this is called fiqh now. We call it fiqh, or in English, sometimes they use it as jurisprudence. Okay, this is fiqh. This is different of fiqh. If you refer to the history, the Prophet never used fiqh as referring to this. When the Prophet said to Ibn Abbas, when the Prophet make dua to him, Allahumma faqihu fid din wa alimhu ta'wil, he never meant this fiqh. He meant fiqh is understanding. During those days, fiqh means understanding of Islam, complete understanding of Islam. Oh Allah, make this guy, this boy, Ibn Abbas was young at that time. Oh Allah, Allahumma faqihu fid din. Oh Allah, make him understand religion very well. This is what he meant. He never meant this thing. But now, the term sometimes change as after so many years, so it become restricted. Even now, fiqh, you have so many fiqh now. You have fiqh ibadah, you have fiqh muamala, you have so many, because scholars are developed now. You have fiqh living with fiqh minority, fiqh majority, fiqh living with non-Muslims, so evolve everything. But what is important here, this fiqh is concerned about this, about halal, haram. Yeah? So this is compulsory for you to learn. You have to learn this. Or no, whatever pertains you. Such as when you want to pray, you have to learn how to pray correctly. Fasting, you have to learn how to fast correctly. What invalidates your fasting? You have to learn this very well. Hajj, you have to know about Hajj when you want to go for Hajj. Zakah, you have to know Zakah. You may not be qualified or you may not be obliged to pay Zakah, but you have to know this when the nisab, the minimum level reached, then you have to pay Zakah. And other things, not just this, other things as well. If you are involved in business, for example, then you have to know the hukum of business. What is the hukum of business? How to interact with others. Now people are talking about Bitcoin, for example. So you have to know. You have to know what is the hukum of Bitcoin. What is the hukum of forex, foreign exchange. This all falls under fiqh aspects. And then you go to Iman, pillars of Iman. This falls under creed or faith. This one you have to learn. You have to learn also. This is compulsory. This is aqidah, or we call it aqidah, whatever you want to call it. Aqidah. In English, they call it aqidah. In Arabic, called creed or faith. And this one, ihsan, is now developed as a discipline called tasawwuf. Or if you don't like tasawwuf, you can use akhlaq, or you can use purification of the soul, whatever. Or you can use tazkiyah. It's the same thing, referring to the same thing. But these three branches of knowledge is compulsory. You have to know this. Other things, do you have to know other knowledge? You don't have to, but if you know, that's good. For example, do you have to know seerah, for example? Yeah, you don't have to. That's not compulsory. But if you learn seerah, that's good. It's good for you. But this is compulsory. Why? Because this relates to you every day in your daily life. You want to pray, you want to this aqidah, this is with regard to the hearts. So I think that's about knowledge. That's about branches of knowledge. What else And then this is another thing about knowledge. After we know that knowledge is compulsory to learn, and what type of knowledge that compulsory, then we have come to this, and then knowledge about knowledge of fardu kifayah. Kifayah is very wide, very broad knowledge, types of knowledge. For example, medicine falls under fardu kifayah, meaning that you don't have to learn it. It's not requirement for you to learn it, but it is community. In a community, there must be someone that has this knowledge. For example, kifayah, jenazah is hukum jenazah tu semayang, maknanya knowledge, the knowledge itself. It's compulsory for the community to have, for example, one person as a doctor, a Muslim doctor. It's compulsory to have, and other things. So we can go. When you talk about salatul janazah, yes, that is called fardu kifayah in the sense of the salah. We are not talking about salah, we are talking about knowledge, seeking knowledge. Seeking knowledge falls two parts. One, seeking knowledge is obligatory on everyone, another one is not obligatory on everyone. And then what else? Okay, this is another thing. Let's read the translation here. Yes. Okay. Imam Ghazali said, if you think that just by having knowledge alone is sufficient, then you are behaving like a philosopher. Philosopher think that they have knowledge is sufficient for them. It's sufficient for them. They will receive salvation, safe, just by having knowledge alone. I think in other things also, there are people who just feel that they don't have to do anything. There are other religions that feel that so long as you believe that this and that, then it's sufficient for you. You don't have to do anything. But Islam is not like that. Islam is a religion that that someone have to believe and also have to do to put them into practice what they believe. It's not sufficient for you just to believe it. You have to put your effort, you have to put your belief into practice in your daily life. So if you are believing, if you just mere believing like Imam Ghazali mentioned just now, then you are behaving like a philosopher. So this conceited fool does not know when he acquires knowledge, if he does not act on the strength of it, the evidence against him will become decisive. As the Messenger of God ﷺ said, the man most severely punished on the day of the resurrection is a scholar whom God did not benefit by his knowledge. It is reported that Al-Junaid was seen in sleep after he had died and was asked, what is the news? Abul Qasim is Al-Junaid. He said, those expressions were wide of the mark and those counsels came to nothing. Nothing was of benefit to me except some small prayers, salat I made in the middle of the night. You know, Junaid al-Baghdadi is a renowned scholar. He wrote many books as well. But he said, at the end of the day, what truly benefits is his tahajjud at night. Apart from all that he had done during his lifetime, still what benefit him the most in the hereafter is what he put into practice, into action. So this is what Al-Junaid told his disciple in a dream. Okay, so I skipped the Arabic because I don't want to take time. I said, I think very long Arabic. Then he go on, O beloved disciple, be neither destitute of good deeds nor devoid of spiritual state, for you can be sure that mere knowledge will not help. Mere knowledge will not help. So tonight, basically, the take home is knowledge must be put into practice. That's all. Knowledge must be put into practice. The whole advice of Imam Ghazali here is just for you to be serious that knowledge alone is not enough. Knowledge must be put into practice. It is as though a man in the desert had 10 Indian swords and other weapons beside, the man being brave and a warrior, and a huge terrifying lion attacked him. What is your opinion? Will the weapons repel this danger of his from him without being used and being wielded? It is obvious they will not repel it unless drawn and wielded. You know, he has all the swords and he's a very brave man. But when the lion attacked him, he just doesn't do anything. Would that help him? No, of course not. So just like us, if we have that knowledge, we have a lot of knowledge, then it will be of no use if you don't put them into practice. Likewise, if a man studied 100,000 intellectual issues and understood them, but did not act on the strength of them, they will not be of use to him, except by taking action. Again, action. Or is it as though a man had a temperature and jaundice, which is treated by oxymel and barley infusion? No recovery will take place except by using them. So this is, and then the sha'r, this is the Persian sha'r. If you have 2,000 measures of wine, but you don't drink it, you still are not being drunk. Okay, this is archaic English by Tobias Mayer. So, so still the same thing. So Imam Ghazali gave the parable of a man with swords, weapons, but never use it. And then another one, he gave 1,000 books, read 1,000 books, but never use it. And a person having fever, for example, jaundice, you go to see a doctor and then you never took the medicine. You think you will cure you? It will not cure you. And you went to see the doctor gave you medicine, you just bring the medicine home, but you never took the medicine. It's of no use. So similarly, okay, and go on. He go on say, even if you studied for 100 years and collected 1,000 books, you will not be eligible for the mercy of God except through action. وَلَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. Man does not receive other than that for which he strives. So let him who hopes for the meeting with his Lord act righteously. Act. The reward for that they use to earn. Verily those who believe and do righteous deeds will have gardens of paradise to dwell in forever, whence they will not seek change. You know, in the Quran, it's always الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَامِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَامِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Those who believe and do righteous. Those who believe and do righteous. You will never find those who believe alone. You will find that those who believe and do righteous. Because believing alone is not enough. You must believe and you do righteous. You must act on your belief. Descendants have replaced them who neglected prayer and followed passions. They shall come to perdition, except for whoever repents and believes and act righteously, for these will enter garden and not be harmed. What you say regarding this tradition, hadith? This hadith, tradition means hadith. Islam is based on 5 things. Okay? Testimony that there is no God but Allah. This thing. Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Keeping up the form of prayer, paying alms, zakat, the fast of Ramadan, pilgrimage. Don't you think that this all is actions or belief? Yeah, action. Pray is action. Fast is action. Zakat is action. Hajj is action. Testimony, shahada is action or not? How? Action. Your tongue is action as well. Don't forget it. People sometimes forget the action. They think of their other limbs, their hands and their feet. They forgot that tongue is also action. And because of that, be careful with your tongue. This tongue can make people enter hell as well. There are so many. If you learn this last time, I think during the Essential of Islam, Ustaz Saiman discussed about what are the muharramat, the things that forbidden for the tongue, for example. Riba, backbiting and all those things. Those are actions by tongue, committed by your tongue. So still all those 5 are still the actions of the tongue. Actions of the body, of the limbs. Faith is verbal declaration, consent by the heart and action in accordance with the 5 pillars. Okay, Iman, this is the Arabic one, is Al-Iman, At-Tasdiqu bil-Qalbi wa Iqraru bil-Lisan wa Amali bil-Jawarih. That's the Arabic one. Iman is verbal declaration. Al-Iman, At-Tasdiqu bil-Qalbi, consent by the heart, verbal declaration, Iqraru bil-Lisan wa Amali bil-Arkan, and action with your limbs. The evidence of this is incalculable. Even though the worshippers attains paradise by the bounty and grace of Allah, nevertheless, this is consequent to his being predisposed through obedience to Him and worship, since the mercy of God is near to those who do good. When you do action, when you do good, do you think you enter paradise because of the actions? No. Because of what? Because of mercy. Yes, we do action. Our action will not bring us to paradise, because we will never be able to pay for what Allah has given us in terms of bounties. But if one day, inshallah, all of us enter paradise, it is out of mercy of Allah to us, not because of our actions, not because of our deeds, because our deeds will never bring us to paradise. But you look at what Imam Hassan al-Basri says after this. If moreover it says, you get there by faith alone, we reply yes, but when we will get there, how many difficult obstacles must he be overcome by for arriving? And the first of these obstacles is that of faith itself, and will he be saved from the denial of faith or not? And when he arrives, will he be unsuccessful and destitute? This is what Imam Hassan al-Basri said. Al-Hassan al-Basri said, God the Exalted will say to His worshippers on the day of resurrection, O worshippers of mine, enter the paradise by my mercy. Yes, you enter paradise by the mercy of Allah, and divide it between you according to your deeds. But you will be placed according to your deeds, whether you will be in the first paradise, the second paradise, the third paradise, or the highest paradise, Jannatul Firdausil A'la. So you enter paradise not because of your deeds, because of the mercy of Allah, but where you will be put, where you will be stationed, according to Imam Hassan Basri, depending on your deeds, depending on your actions. So if you want to go to first class Jannah, Firdaus, so make a lot of righteous deeds. You just satisfied with first paradise, then do whatever you want. So we always aim for the Jannatul Firdaus al-A'la, the highest paradise. So we have to strive harder to go there. So remember this very well. We enter paradise by the mercy of Allah, but where we'll be stationed depending on our actions. So this is what according to Imam Ghazali. So basically we have finished until that one, and inshallah for next time we will read on the spiritual state, advice number 3, I think. So we have finished with Imam Hassan al-Basri. Imam Hassan al-Basri is here, and then inshallah advice number 4, next lesson. But before that, there are a few things that I would like to share here on knowledge as well. This is my teacher, Professor Said Naqib Al-Atas. He said the real problem of the Muslim today is the crisis of knowledge. The real problem of Muslim today is the crisis of knowledge that leads to the loss of adab. Okay, the real problem of Muslim today is the crisis of knowledge. Why? Because now, for example, people seek knowledge not because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People seek knowledge not because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Unlike people of the past, the scholars in the past, they seek knowledge for mardatillah, to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is the purpose of seeking knowledge? Do you know what is the purpose of seeking knowledge? So, today, yes, to put in action. But nowadays, people seek knowledge, for example, to have a good job later. They want to go to university, and then later have a good job. Or maybe they want to have money, wealth. But there are so many unemployed now, even if you graduate from university as well. I think Malaysia, so it doesn't mean that you go to university, you'll be rich, you get employed. Good citizen, this is normally the intention of a government, of Ministry of Education. When they establish schools, when they establish universities, the intention that they have is they want to produce good citizen, obedient citizen. But that's not good enough. Yes, true, good. But in Islam, it's far than that. Good employee. This is the workforce, the industry. They always dictate to the university, to the Ministry of Education, you have to teach these students to have this kind of knowledge, blah, 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 blah. Because we want it to be employed, it's easier to our industry. But that's not the main purpose of education in Islam. Okay? The purpose of education in Islam is to produce a good man. To produce a good man. So once you are a good man, then you will be a good husband. You will be a good wife. You'll be a good servant. You'll be a good citizen. You'll be a good employee. You'll be a good everything. You will be a good humankind. And this is where ihsan comes in. Ultimately, the purpose of education in Islam is a process of having this ihsan inculcating in you, where you have akhlaq. So we go back to what we taught last time, we discussed last time on what kind of knowledge benefits and not benefit. One of the knowledge that is of no benefit is that when it doesn't change your character. One of the characteristics of knowledge that of no benefit is that the knowledge that has not changed or transformed your character, then that knowledge is of no benefit. That knowledge is of no benefit. So, knowledge that has benefit is knowledge that changes you to become a good man. Insan adabi, for example. This is what. Okay. I hope this is our closing tonight. I end with this thing. You know very well, we just recapitulate, recap. The hukum of haram, hukum of makruh, hukum of wajib, hukum of sunat, this is Malay first. Hukum of harus. So in English, forbidden. This is reprehensible. This is obligatory. This is recommended or commendable. This is permissible. For a good Muslim, they will put all the efforts to do this portion. Do. This is the do's. Do's. Do. Whatever you have to do, you have to do. And this is the don'ts. This is the don'ts. Not just haram and wajib, but also makruh and sunnah. There are so many things that are haram, there are so many things makruh, wajib, sunnah. For a good Muslim, for a true Muslim, practicing Muslim, we try to avoid this, and we try to do as much as we could for this one and this one. All, as much as we could. Tahajjud is here. Fasting, Monday and Thursday is here. All the recommended is here. So many things that we have not done. So putting into practice meaning this. And for this one, you try to convert it to become permissible. by intention, by making intention, by intending it for the sake of Allah. For example, you are eating. It's permissible. It's not haram, it's not harus, it's not makruh, it's sunnah. But if you put intention, I eat this so that Allah will give me strength, I can perform ibadah, then it is rewarded, in other words. So we hope Allah Ta'ala give us strength to perform what we have learned tonight. This is what Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala said. This is what we always make dua. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alim hakim. Allahumma anfa'na bima 'allamtana wa 'allimna ma yanfa'una. Oh Allah, Allah manfa'na. Oh Allah, please make benefit bima 'allamtana, whatever we have learned. Wa 'allimna, and teach us what we have not learned, what we have not known yet. So this is what we hope. May Allah Ta'ala give us strength, especially to myself. It is easy to talk, it is easy to give advice, as Imam Ghazali said, but to put them into practice is very difficult without the grace of Allah SWT. This is what Allah SWT says. Make dua, Allah help you. We are advised to make dua. Every time we finish our prayer, we said, Allahumma a'inni ala dhikrika wa syukrika wa husna ibadatik. Oh Allah, help me remember you. Because remembering Allah SWT is not of our choice. It is Allah who gives us strength to remember Him. Allah chose us to remember Him. So if He did not choose us, then we cannot remember Him. So, oh Allah, please help us to remember you. With that, I think we can conclude our session tonight. Inshallah, may Allah benefit us tonight, and may Allah give us strength to put them into practice. I seek your forgiveness for all my shortcomings. I am very humble, that I am very sincere that I'm not a qualified person to teach, but rather to share some of the knowledge that I know with you, and I feel very, small, very to sit in this chair where the shuyukh are sitting, always sit here, Sheikh Sayyidi Maulana Nimawi and all Sheikh Musa and Found and others. But for the sake of sharing knowledge with all of you, I never regard myself a teacher to you. I regard myself just a friend and sharing what we have known. And may Allah help us all, insyaAllah. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sallam. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa baraka wa sallam. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.